Hello, ladies and gents. Today, this is Vendhere Inc., and we're going to go over a new category that we're going to be covering with just companies that we find quite interesting or up and coming for potential startup investment opportunities. If you're the kind of person that's into just investing in startups, yes, it's a fairly risky area in terms of investment. However, there's a lot of opportunities out there, and so as a virtual business incubator, we love to track different companies, whether we work with them personally or we are just tracking them in a particular industry. So one company that's of particular interest is Rentberry, and they're in the real estate industry. But what's interesting about Rentberry is that they are entirely digital. They are digitizing the tenant to landlord process of landlords trying to find tenants and tenants trying to find places to rent in a slightly different way, where if you can say in a short summary, it's somewhat of a eBay of real estate in terms of application tenant to landlord process. So it's quite interesting little tag that they have going. And again, this is just something we just found interesting and we wanted to cover it. You can go to rentberry.com and you can check it out. I'm just on their site right now. So you have an option to either click rent, where do you want to live, or buy, where do you want to live. You can also switch it over to the landlord process and click list a property. So this would have been very intriguing for me personally. I also have a property, and takes out a lot of the headaches for landlords. But the interesting thing, like I mentioned before, it's kind of like the eBay. Tenants have the opportunity to bid on what type of rent that they believe is worth, the property is worth. So apparently they're in all kinds of cities here. You can see New York, and then they have other international locations there. But I do believe since they've launched, the majority of their locations have been within the United States. So it's pretty interesting. We'll see how this company goes. And they have a couple different other roadmaps that they're already planning on there. See here, it says coming in 2022, flexible living. And you can see right here just a snapshot of what I was just referring to earlier, all over the world, but majority of the locations seem to be within the United States. So very, very interesting concept. And so with that, I'm going to switch over here and just kind of give you a quick snapshot. Again, you can check it out, go to rentberry.com. So again, the company launched in 2017. They have about a 30-person team, and they are headquartered in San Francisco. So very interesting concept here, and this is what they're kind of tackling. Outdated rental platforms seem to be very rigid. They estimate about $87 billion frozen in rental deposits. So they're really trying to streamline this process. It's quite interesting. So they have a lot of features here that they kind of cover. Also, the one that is a big differentiator, in my opinion, to other platforms is kind of like the rent payments, collecting the rent payments, doing, like a lease agreement if I'm a landlord and getting that signed right there online, then collecting the payment. And then for the tenant, for them to have the ability to negotiate some of the terms of their lease is pretty interesting too. So again, global expansion. I really see this company potentially kind of going on the growth spurt, similar to Airbnb, but again, this is more so landlord to tenant leases. A little bit more longer term leases than Airbnb. So, but again, really keeping the whole there. I think they're doing a good job of keeping the whole application process on the Rentberry platform. Also, good indicator is when you see, big names that have already become key investors. That's always a good sign there. Talks about Ray Werder, former CEO and chairman of CBRE, and a couple other venture capital firms that are mentioned there. So that's of particular interest. And again, they try to really just keep it pretty simple. So I was quite impressed by that. And they also talk about a lot of traction. They have a lot of traction. So this is not just something, they have a couple of properties. They have hundreds of thousands of properties already on, on their platform and hundreds of users. So this is the picture that I wanted to map out here. So as you can see from, let me try and zoom out a little bit there for you guys. So as you can see from this, the key here where it says properties, okay, purple kind of fuchsia color there highlights the United States, North America, and you can see that from that mapping, that's 300,000 properties to about 100 million plus are centered around the US housing market. So that's pretty interesting. That's pretty significant. There's a lot of orange on this map that represents about 10,000 to 50,000 range of properties listed in those areas. A lot of grays, you can see probably here, but other than that, so US and Europe seem to be really the main markets there. You have some a little bit more in South America there listed as well. Yeah, so that's pretty interesting. And then Australia and India also have anywhere between 100K to 300,000 properties listed as well. So this is a great opportunity in terms of investment, and then like looking at companies and evaluating. We go through the exact same process here at Vendhere. We're looking at different companies, again, that we're just maybe tracking for particular industries. We have different industry experts. And so we've decided this year, 2022, that we want to actually share this with some of our viewers when we're just tracking companies that we just find interesting. And so again, here they note huge US market here. Housing market has been a significant topic of recently discussions. So very, very interesting there. Now, I will say, while all this is great, the couple question marks that we kind of have for Vendhere for this company is a little bit of their revenue model. You kind of have a little bit of mixed information, so I'm not really sure, but this outline here is straight from their actual website, some of their investor information that they have out there, and some of the documents that they have in preparation for the SEC submission. And there's some information out there that says that the platform only charges $25 fee upon a transaction, and then there's, I guess, promotion ad fees, and then there's also application if you're a landlord. So that gets a little bit confusing, I think, for the everyday user. I think they can do a little bit of better job of just making that a little bit more simplified, because it seems a little bit all over the place. The freemium model is great. I think there's just a couple of different avenues where they're collecting fees both from the tenant and the landlord, from the advertising and both from the application process. So I think if they do a little bit better job of just kind of communicating that, it's not really clear if you go on the website, or if you're just trying to go swift through information where exactly what's what. So that may catch some users by surprise, but otherwise I think they have a pretty good product and market opportunity out there. So very, very interesting. Again, the whole concept of the eBay, auctioning of, if I was a tenant, what I think I should be paying for rental price in a particular area. I find that very intriguing. And then for landlords as well, being able to take out the stress and, oh man, I just have everything all in one place. My leasing agreement, collect the rental payments, screen applicants. I think that is of absolute value, particularly in today's market. Having everything digital on one platform is very interesting. So they collect revenue not only again from tenants and landlords, is what I was talking about, but they also collect from agents. So that's very interesting too. So again, huge market, but majority of their revenue looks to be projected to come mostly from landlords. So again, very, very interesting there. Lots to definitely get into. These are some of the competitors for like current market. They have Zillow listed up here, Airbnb, even Facebook. Some of the older platforms, apartments.com, etc. So very, very intriguing. I think they're onto something here. And if you want to invest in this, there are several platforms in which you can definitely pursue early adopter investment opportunities before they go towards their IPO. There is EquityZen, has Rentberry listed, so you can definitely check that out. I think they have the same tier on all crowdfunding platforms that they have listed. So has a lot of the same information there that you can go through on EquityZen and check that out. So you can check that out, and you can definitely request access to invest in Rentberry stock. The other option is Start Engine. Start Engine also has Rentberry listed. You can invest. They're pretty user friendly. You can see here you can invest minimum investment of just $300 at 87 cents per share. So you're looking at about, if my math served me correctly off the top of my head, about 344 shares that you get just with the minimum investment. And this is equity offering type that they're offering. As you can see, traction is always wonderful when you can see that there's already a lot of traction, both from the investor perspective and also from the actual product itself. Like I mentioned before, they have a lot of properties listed, so you can literally visually see the traction that's going on here. If they, I think got started in 2017. So definitely a type of company we would be very interested in, both as an investor or just for tracking purposes. Again, we're a virtual business incubator, so we are always very interested in the startup market from different market sectors and whatnot. Definitely into all things digital, leveraging technology and just seeing what's out there. So they're definitely offering some interesting perks here. You can see the different tiers that they offer: 300, 500, 1,000. And you can see a couple of investor testimonials there. We got some, looks like Harvard Business School alumni have invested on there as well. The third platform that you can also look into for Rentberry is called WeFunder. So they're listed in a couple different places. Again, traction is great on all three platforms I just mentioned: EquityZen, Start Engine, and then right here at WeFunder. So that's always good. Again, do your due diligence. This is just us just kind of covering a company that we found interesting and that we believe has a fairly good trajectory. But absolutely, all investments carry risks, particularly with startups. So please do your own due diligence and be a good steward of the resources that you have, financial resources. So yeah, you can definitely check that out. All three platforms kind of explain this process that I was talking about, where it's the platform really is offering a lot of convenience, security, automation, global expansion. They collect payments. You can have your leasing agreements there. They have the auction kind of feature similar to eBay. You can screen all your applicants if you're a landlord, tenant screening, and so takes out the marketing and some of the heavy lifting out of your hands for you. So again, they got started in 2017. Very, very interesting company. And again, we always advise, if you're going to invest, startups are very, very risky. You want companies that have traction. You want companies traction in terms of both from the investment perspective and also for their actual product. Like, is it selling? Are people buying the service? Are people happy with the service? Do they have a roadmap? Definitely dig into the financials a little deeper. Here I'm just quickly doing a video, but you want to definitely dig into the financials. You can go on sec.gov and you can look up Rentberry and actually pull down any information they may have submitted there. So it's all public at that point. Again, criticism or feedback, at least from Vendhere's perspective, it's really just on this revenue model. It's not quite as clear at first glance. So very interesting company, but it's certainly their choice there to collect both from tenants, landlords, agents, and then enterprises, but it seems that there's different avenues. So the average user may be a little bit confused at first glance, particularly if a lot of their marketing material only talks about this $25 per month fee. So again, that's Rentberry for you guys. Check it out. We found it quite interesting, and let us know what you think. Give us some comments, anything you'd want us to cover. If you want us to go into the numbers, some of the calculations in future videos, we'd be happy to do that and dig into. This is Vendhere Virtual Business Incubator, where we enjoy expanding your sphere of influence in the marketplace. Thanks, guys.